Hello, I'm Richard Murphy, and I want to talk about the options we really do have to rebalance our economy now that we are facing an economic downturn of historic proportions. Now, remember just what's causing this problem. The government shut down our economy quite deliberately, quite appropriately, to tackle the coronavirus crisis. The consequence has been that very large numbers of people have not been able to work, and quite a large number of those are going to end up unemployed. In addition, very large numbers of employers are, despite the financial support that well over 1 million employers have received from the government to assist them through the immediate crisis, many of those financial employers are not going to make it to the other side of this crisis because they are literally going to run out of money when they have to start repaying loans, paying back the tax that they've had deferred during the course of 2020, start repaying rent or mortgages and so on. They simply aren't able to cover their costs. So what do we need to get us out of this situation? What are the options that are available to us? There is actually, at the end of the day, only one. And that one option is for the government to spend. I'd love to say that there were more, but there aren't, because nothing will create demand like the government can by spending money into the economy. Now, I'm not asking for the government to spend on anything for any reason. That would be completely unwise. Nobody in their right mind would say to a government, just spend on anything, because of course that's not sensible. The government has to choose wisely what it's going to spend money on. Now, it can't spend money, for example, on some schemes that it says it's going to do, which are at the moment mistaken. One of the plans which I've heard is for training for people to get jobs. Well, that's pointless spending at this point of time if there is no money being spent on creating the jobs for those people to apply for. Why train people to apply for jobs when there aren't any? It doesn't make sense. So the thing that the government has got to do is to start spending on whatever it is that will deliver jobs now. Now, there are a number of ways to do this. One, of course, is to simply increase some of the very glaringly, obviously necessary jobs that we've identified as being required during the coronavirus crisis. We need more carers. It's very obvious that actually care homes are understaffed. It's very obvious that care in the community is facing difficulties. It's clear to anyone who's tried to teach children during the course of this crisis that education is not quite as simple as it looks to be. And in fact, it's very obvious that we could employ more teachers, we could have more classroom assistants, and some of those jobs are relatively quick and easy to create. Classroom assistants do not take a long time to train. Carers, likewise, do not take a long time to train. There are other jobs which may be more appropriate for other parts of this community. For example, it's very clear we need to build a sustainable economy. The thing that is quite shocking about the UK's housing stock is how poorly insulated it is. We don't need to put solar panels on every building to make buildings green. We do need to put in loft insulation. We do need to put in wall insulation where it's possible. And of course it isn't possible everywhere. And we do need to fit double glazing to millions of properties in the UK. There could be more than 10 million properties still in need of upgraded windows and doors to prevent the leakage of heat out of buildings, which is one of the worst things we can do with regard to burning excess energy. The payback on that investment is enormous. First of all, in creating jobs, of course, because these are real jobs that have to be done on every street in the UK. There is no community where this would not be relevant. So this is a job in every constituency of the United Kingdom that we could create in this way, whether in care, whether in education, whether in insulation, whether in fitting double glazing or whatever else. These are local jobs. And most of the products could be made here. It is possible to make double glazing and insulation materials in this country as well. And the payback is enormous. The payback in care is quite clear. People are healthier and make less demand upon the NHS. The payback in education is very clear. Better educated people in the long run have better jobs and make fewer demands upon society, including fewer demands, for example, on the criminal justice system, because better educated people tend to have fewer offences. What happens with regards to things like investment in insulation and so on? We consume less energy. We have a planet we can still live on. We also save foreign currency from buying fuel, and we don't burn our planet. All round, there are hundreds of options, I've just identified a few, that we could use if the government was to start pump priming the economy to get things going. And one of my messages of late on this video series has been that this should be a mix between private and public sector. And of course it is. I'm not talking about the state fitting all that insulation. I'm not talking about the state, for example, fitting all those double glazed windows. And I may not be talking about the state supplying all that care for people in the community either. Some of that could also, perhaps appropriately, perhaps not, local judgment will be required, done by private providers. The point is that we can build a new economy which provides for both private and public sector by the government taking the risk now of putting money into the economy to create a payback. And what's the payback? Well, saved benefit payments, increased tax payments. These things pay for themselves. The government has to start the ball rolling though. It has to take the risk, and when it does, we will see ourselves come out of the downturn that we're going to face, but only, and I literally mean only, if the government is willing to spend money to get the whole thing going. I'm Richard Murphy. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this video series on YouTube if you're interested. Also look for us on Facebook. I am on Twitter @Richard J. Murphy, and at the same time look at my blog Tax Research UK, where you can find much more on these themes. And I'll see you again soon.